Hello, and welcome to the Fresh Air Show. What is up, guys, and welcome to episode 3 of the Fresh Air Show. Now, we did have to cut the last one a bit short due to a horrible connection, but we're all here again, so how have you guys been since the last podcast?
I've been good.
Dudley?
Yep, same as usual.
It's been cold.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
The beast from the east, people are calling it. Otherwise known as Storm Emma.
Sadly, it left me with a chill for the last 3 days or so. So, I'm just bouncing back from an illness. I mean, I'm a lot better now. Snow's cleared up in our area. How about you?
It's finally starting to melt away. It wasn't my fault, I swear. My character might have snowflakes covered on him, but he didn't cause a storm of this size.
Sure.
Now, before we get into Storm Emma, we're gonna go back to the topic where we left off. Rowan, we were talking about the scariest moments from our childhood.
Like
So-
scariest movie and stuff.
Yeah, and you went on to talk about Pan's Labyrinth.
Oh yeah. I still have no idea why my dad let me watch that. It was just nightmare fuel after nightmare fuel.
Jeez. I've not seen it yet, but maybe one day I'll give it a shot.
I could recommend it. It is dark, but
Yeah, it's good. It's just not for like 6, 7-year-olds.
Oh, wow. So,
Yeah.
Dudley, now, at last, we can move on to your moment.
yes. I think I'm going to get the right reaction here. 2 words, Watership Down.
Oh, no.
Uh,
Hey, everybody, why don't we watch a movie about bunnies? Yeah, I'm sure it'll be nice and wholesome and cute and... What the heck did I just watch?
My God. That scarred me for life, so much so that I always have chills. Like, I mean, there was a bit of a fuss kicked up about them playing it at Easter last year.
Oh my god!
Why?
Yeah, I mean, it's like, they play it, like, it's bound to be on telly at some point in the year, but last year, everyone kicked up a fuss. Like, obviously, rightly so, but I mean, it was the first time I'd heard it come up, and I thought, this is only getting acknowledgement now? I mean, like, I was like,
God.
So, unless you haven't seen Watership Down, without spoilers, it's an animated film about rabbits who go on a journey, encountering many dangers along the way. But it's pretty kind of gory. And
Yeah.
Yeah, I actually haven't watched it, but I've seen enough screenshots to know what you're talking about.
yes.
It's
So,
horrible.
but this is the interesting thing. Now, I'm always telling people about this. If you go into a store and you see Watership Down there, the front cover looks kind of innocent, like your typical kids movie, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And the age rating on that kids movie is universal. Not PG,
Oh my
universal,
god.
as in appropriate for all ages. And as well as
No.
this, on the back of the DVD cover it says mild violence.
Mild!
Yes, wow.
Yes, failed.
And what's also hilarious about this is that this led me to believe that mild violence meant a lot of violence.
Wow.
Because
Oh
that's
god,
what
if that was mild violence, I'd hate to see what excessive violence was.
Exactly.
Jesus.
That's why. So growing up, whenever I thought, I was like, really? Megamind has mild violence? This doesn't make sense to me. Why does it have a lot of violence?
Wow.
And also, growing up, I was a bit apprehensive to watch 18s and things because I was like, heck, if these are mild violence, then what the heck? How bad is the violence gonna be?
Oh god. You know, I admit I'm kind of the same thing. Even though I am 20, I still feel like I'm 12. Like I still feel like I'm still too young to be seeing certain things, and there are just some movies out there that I don't want to watch because they're either terrifying me because of how scary they are or how messy they get.
Yeah. Well, I mean, some. I'm still sort of the same. I thought some films seemed violent for the sake of being violent, and I haven't watched a lot of horror films. But then I went to see. They made a remake of Judge Dredd, and it's just called Dredd. And my friend took me to see it, and I didn't know it was an 18 at the time. This is sounding really like kiddie, but so I watched it, and I thought, okay, here we go, and it was actually pretty good. And I've watched things recently, like the Alien films and stuff, and they're really good too. So some of it's really good, but then there's some things, like I say, are violent for the sake of being violent, like films I've heard of, like Human Centipede. Let's just
no, we're not. No. We're not bringing up any other detail
We
about
are
that
not
movie.
talking about.
No, we won't. No. That's all that you need to say, really.
I've actually not seen that many horror movies. Like, I'm gradually gonna warm up to it, but pretty much the only recognizable movies that I've seen out there are like some of the classic ones. Like I've seen like Frankenstein, and I've seen Nosferatu. Yes, I'm a dinosaur. But when it comes to somewhat recent horror movies, the only ones that I've really seen are like the Gremlins and Little Shop of Horrors, and even Little Shop of Horrors isn't actually that scary. But it is quite impressive because it's pretty much all puppets, because it's about florist discovering an alien plant, and they discover that it eats meat to survive, and as it gets bigger, yep, it springs to life, it starts singing, and it starts requesting more blood and meat. And yeah, it's pretty hilarious, actually.
Well, there's obviously, you've got your classic horror films from back in the day, which you could say some of them are more watchable because of that. And also Little Shop of Horrors and Gremlins, they're kind of considered classics. They're horrors, but they've got humour in as well, so you can laugh at these things. Whereas you've got horrors like recent ones like Strangers or Mirrors and things, and nothing in them is meant to be funny. It's just meant to scare you, and they're not very appealing to me. You know.
Yeah.
But then,
PSAs can be pretty scary as well. I think that's actually going to be another topic. Now, before we get into PSAs, I was actually looking at a few recently because I'm a good boy, but some of them are just downright disturbing. And the funny thing is, like, in Australia, the PSAs there literally, like, shame you. Like, if you drink and drive, you're a bloody idiot. Like,
true.
Yeah. So.
I hope people get the reference, but Canada! Stop with your PSAs!
Oh, God. Yeah, Canada produces a lot of scary PSAs, but, let's see. What PSAs have we encountered that aren't found on the internet but have genuinely scared you? I can start off by telling you one that has kind of scarred me a little bit, and it was to do with house fires. And basically, it was a really short commercial. It was like 10 seconds, and basically, it was a view of like a Christmas tree, only it was of like the star, and you see like orange flickering lights, and at the time I was like 5, and I was thinking, oh, they have flashing Christmas lights, that's nice. But then the camera pans out away from the star, and the Christmas tree is on fire. And one sentence at the end, and it said, "This Christmas, please take care." And the last shot was of the star, like, curling up and melting as the fires engulfed it, and I'm like, Mommy!
Christmas in hell.
Oh, God.
Like, this Christmas.
I tried
please take
finding
care.
that so much, but I can't find it. It's just not on the internet at all. I think for good reason. So, what PSAs scared you?
I actually don't watch TV all that often because I'm too much on my tablet, so...
Yeah, who watches a TV these days?
Yeah, when you got a TV right in your hand.
I haven't really seen many PSAs on the TV, so to speak, but the only thing, whenever this subject comes up, the only one I can remember was in I think it was primary school. We went to like a fireman sort of thing, like where you learn how. I think it could have been where there were fire engines. I'm not sure, but you had to learn what happens with fires and house safety and things.
Right.
And we watched the small PSA, which is I've seen on YouTube a couple of times, but it's like it's the one about going into places where they have the electric, the generators, and you shouldn't go in there, or do not enter places.
Right.
And then they play your kids go. So the kids go in there and they're playing football because smart kids. So they go into the generator place and one drops the ball, so the other kid goes to grab it, and he grabs onto the electric pole to swing around and grab it, and then you just hear this, and he lands on the ground in a crispy, just burnt up body. And then
I saw that in my science class. Oh my God, I was like, Tom and Jerry were right.
It was kind of like the equivalent of watching a horror film in a way. I was like, this is just a little 5-minute video about health and safety, and they just made it flipping scary.
What was wrong with just playing Francis the Firefly? That's like the most non-scary PSA you could ever make. Why can't you just show that again?
I guess if it wasn't scary, it wouldn't convince you to do it, because this is what happens, and it's really darn scary.
Oh,
I guess sometimes you just have to be cruel to be kind.
Yeah. Because, if it's all, fluffy animals doing, don't do this, or something bad will happen, you don't take it as seriously, because it's cute animals. What's the worst that could happen?
Yeah.
Actually, I do have to say, on that note of scary things, quickly going back to the Watership Down thing, even though I talk bad about how violent Watership Down is and stuff, that doesn't mean I don't recommend seeing the film, because it's actually really beautiful artwork and stuff like that,
Yeah, the plot is so realistic.
Well, yeah, I mean, there are scarring scenes, you have to be ready for that, but, when I watched it years later, when I was in the shop, and I was like, this film scarred me like hell. But I'm still going to buy it and watch it again. I'm at the age where I can appreciate it, and it was nice to see it again. But that doesn't mean the music. It's all in the music. The music is the terrifying thing.
I've not heard the music from Watership Down, but I assume it's like Psycho.
Oh, well, if you try listening to the soundtrack without having seen the movie, try listening to it while walking down a dark alley or something.
Oh dear.
It'd be horrible.
All right. We're gonna need to regain our composure a little bit. I'm Randy Newman, and you're listening to the Fresh Air Show. I'm Randy Newman. Anyway, the Storm Emma. The three of us all live in the UK, and we've all been affected by it in some way or another. Oh boy, snow got really deep up here in Scotland.
Yep.
Oh boy, it was at the same time, I was like, this is so beautiful, even though, icicles were, coming down from like my windowsill's roof, and they were sort of
Yeah, I had icicles coming from my roof and like pointing at my window as if they were threatening me.
yeah. It was like that scene
"Give me
from
a munch."
it was like that scene from Frozen where like Elsa's trying to control herself, and she's like, "Don't feel, don't feel, don't feel," and icicles are just the icicles are like really sharp and they're like closing in on her. That's basically what it felt like.
Don't feel. Proceeds to feel worse.
Oh god. Dudley, how has it been for you?
Well, to be honest, I never got much of a chance to go out and see how bad it was. So I'd like to say it wasn't awful. It's basically I woke up. I had a week off, and I was about to return to work, and it had snowed. And I was like, "Ooh!" And then my brother said, "Oh, let's have a snowball fight." I'm like, "Yeah, go on then." So exciting. And so we played out in the snow for a bit, and then the first night my dad came in and said the roads might be a bit risky, so maybe best not to go to work tomorrow. And I was like, okay, that is a fair point.
Good on you.
And then the next night, the chill kicked in, and I was like shivering under the covers. I had different temperatures each night, and it was really horrible. I had headaches constantly, and nastiness. And so basically, it left me ill. So I'm going to remember this as a not so nice snow time.
Well, it was like it got pretty darn crazy. I just at one point one night I was just sort of looking out my window, and because Fresh Powder, my main character, is born from like ice and snow, I just thought I was just thinking about apocalyptic scenarios and saying, what have I done? What have my powers become? You know, because it was like...
Oh god, I become Elsa.
It was like the day after tomorrow. Like, it was like everything would freeze. But that's something interesting I want to bring up. Why is it every disaster movie, you know, movies about natural disasters and the world ending, always ends up being a critical and box office disaster?
Probably because they all have the same general plot.
Yeah.
You put disaster in the title.
Well,
that's what you're gonna get.
Yeah, you get what's on the tin.
Yeah.
I bet. I mean, I've heard Sharknado was quite popular.
The strange thing is, it's almost just about believable because raining frogs and fish, that has happened before, mainly mainly due to tornadoes passing over fish ponds and raining down. So yeah, if it was powerful enough, I guess sharks would be possible.
I have to say, actually, with the snow, it seemed to come. I hope this isn't spoiling anything, but you have that new design, Fresh Powder.
Yeah, for those of you who don't know, I was in the process of giving my MLP version of Fresh a redesign, so that's what you're referring to.
Yes, and then it was like the weather approved, so it covered everywhere with snow and made Snake Staff magic ill.
Yeah, I was talking with Dudley about this, like, face my icy cold justice. You're listening to The Fresh Air Show. Dudley, I remember you saying back in episode 1 where you were saying, oh, we should recommend channels for people to watch. And I think me and Rowan have discovered the perfect first YouTuber.
One to start with.
Yeah.
The channel I recommend is a nice Japanese channel called Sushi Ramen.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Sushi Ramen is basically this Japanese, I think, man who just does a bunch of crazy experiments just for the sake of doing them. Not even like anything special, just doing random things. Like the very first video I watched, which was one that I introduced Dan 2 was this one where he gets like, you know how you have those screaming chickens, like you squeeze them and they go,
Rubber chickens.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, he basically gets a bunch of those, takes their heads off, and attaches them to Hoover. It just, and then he turns it on, and it's this just cacophonous scream.
Oh my god. Rowan introduced me to this video in college, and honest to God,
Yeah,
I nearly wet
during a
myself. I
break.
was trying not to laugh. Oh, it was.
Yeah, it was during
hilarious.
a break, and I was just winding down watching some videos, and I turned to Dan, who was just next to me, and he's looking over my shoulder like, what is happening? And I was like, pee in rubber chicken vacuum. You will not regret it. And he didn't.
He didn't say, oh, it's KFC trying to come up with a new jingle.
No.
It's finger
No,
licking
rubber
good.
Actually, that reminds me of a video. I was watching a Try Not to Laugh video, and there's a Hoover going along the floor. And it plays the...
Harmonica?
I'm trying to think of the tune.
From 2001 Space Odyssey.
Yes, yeah. And they fit it, and there's a harmonica. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's on the floor. And on like the last note, you know that the Hoover, the vacuum's slowly moving across the floor, and it starts to suck up the air through the harmonica, and it's like
Oh, yeah.
the ultimate jingle, like
Yeah, I've seen that. It's the best thing.
when you finish your homework.
Yeah. I've actually seen that video without the theme song in the background, and it's just amazing how it goes from...
Oh, and speaking of vacuum cleaner videos, I remember seeing there's one where some guy's like cleaning like a dresser, and it's like full of like drawers, and he's like he's got like the narrow end of the vacuum where it's like a long tube, and you sort of use it to clean narrow spaces. He was like slowly moving up the drawer, and just as he gets the nozzle of the vacuum over one of the drawer's openings, it almost sounds like the vacuum screaming like
I've seen that one. It was like, that's funny as well.
Anyway, back to Sushi Ramen. Oh, I managed to rediscover him again once the day was over, and oh my god, he's like How To Basic done right. There's the good type of crazy which Sushi Ramen falls under, and the bad type of crazy where How To Basic falls under.
Yeah, because they're How To Basics punchline is just throwing eggs at things, isn't it?
He starves families in Africa in every single video he does. Anyway, back to Sushi Ramen. He does a lot of videos, and almost all of them have made me laugh. Like, there's this one where he gets like this large PVC pipe, and he like fills it up with like 30,000 BB gun bullets.
And has like a bottle full of chemicals that he throws in. Then he wraps it all up and puts it under a weight with the target in front of it. Then he goes outside and just waits for the inevitable explosion.
Yeah, because in the room he's recording it in, he like runs out onto like this small balcony, and the pipe practically explodes just to get a bullseye on like a BB gun target game, which I think some of us might have seen before.
I'll have to put a link to the channel in the description so people could look it up.
Yep. But yeah, he's hilarious.
Mm-hmm.
I'll have to check this out.
Oh,
you have to.
Yeah, you won't regret it. Trust me.
I didn't, Dan didn't, you won't either. And neither will the listeners or viewers, depending.
Or they pop into the comments and say hashtag fresh podcast, fresh air show, or something.
Yeah. Which is, interestingly enough, the word and name fresh can span a whole variety of different things. And we were testing that out. Because obviously, fresh air, that's where the podcast gets its name from. Fresh topics, let's freshen things up, you know. It's all very clever.
Yeah, it is clever.
Yeah.
You are listening to the Fresh Air Show.
Okay, so Dudley, you have a question?
Yeah, I'm curious to know what is everybody's favourite animal and why.
My favorite animal. Well, that's changed a lot over the years that I've been around. Originally it was like penguins, because who doesn't love penguins? Basically, animals that lived in icy conditions or the tundra. It's all.
I'm starting to see a pattern here.
But
Yeah.
then they like fish.
Oh God, fish!
Fresh.
When come to my high school years, and I started developing a liking for wolves.
Yes.
Cause
Every teenage idol.
well, it was during the years where my lovely dog Oscar entered our lives, and I started thinking, they're pretty cool. Come my days in YouTube, and eventually when it came to creating an original character, I thought, well, zebras are in My Little Pony, so why not giraffes? And slowly but surely, I came to liking giraffes a lot. Turns out my mum's favorite animal is a giraffe, so I guess I'm fulfilling her prophecy or something. So yeah, that basically sums me up. Yeah, giraffes and icy cold conditions, that's my favorite animals in general.
Cool.
Yep.
There was a show once I went to, a Blueberry show,
The what?
and they brought some wolves from the Wolf Trust, and so they haven't done it again though, which is sad. But so basically, I was low on battery and I was walking alone. I was walking around without my family for a bit, just for a bit of a wander, and then I came around the corner and there was this thing, and it was like, oh, sign this bit of parchment and you can go in the cage with the 3 wolves and the handlers, and you can like
What?
stroke the wolves and stuff. And I was like,
That sounds awesome.
it was. I was like, and I was like, you have to sign this bit of paper though to say if you get massacred by them, it's your fault. And I'm like, yeah, I'm signing this.
Wow.
So I'm signing it, and I'm like, I've got no phone battery. I've barely got any phone battery left. So if the wolves kill me, I can't really tell my family.
Oh God.
It's not the risk. So
Oh, Dudley, where's my baby? And you just see like this guy looking really nervous, and he's got like these 3 fat wolves just burping everywhere.
Well,
Continue.
so they had 3 wolves. I can't really remember what they all were. One was an Asian wolf, I think. One was a timber wolf. I can't remember the other one. And one was a bit sort of hot and bothered, so I didn't get to stroke that one. So I was like, dang. So I didn't get to stroke all 3, which was annoying. But I rubbed one's tummy, and it was like really nice, and cute and stuff. And so I always remembered that. It was like, so there's a wolf story for you.
Haha, I can top that, sir. I've been in an enclosure with a lion.
Ooh.
Well, I'm not sure if it can exactly top 3 adult wolves, but it was like several lion cubs, or along with a few tiger cubs. For some reason, like in Africa, you don't expect to see tiger cubs there, but it was sort of like a rescue center, I guess. And the thing is, there's actually like 4 different enclosures where you can enter, and it's basically lion cubs, juveniles, teens, and full-grown adults. And they're all age coordinated, so if you're not old enough to go into the adult lion enclosure, then yeah, you're best sticking with the lion cubs. And and there's proof of me like sort of teasing sort of my audience, saying, "Look at me, world. I am stroking one of the top predators on the planet. One day this guy will grow up into a vicious killing machine."
I've heard someone, I think it was in Africa, I can't remember who told me the story, but they said they had the choice of either going in with the cubs or going in with an adult. It was either one or the other they had to do, and they chose cubs. And then I thought, if I was in that situation, what would I have chosen? Because I probably would have been old enough for the adult lion if I wanted to go in with the adult lion. What about you, Rowan? What would you pick?
I on one hand, being with adults is really cool because, like, look at this predator and it's not even looking at me. I am so brave. But on the other hand, cubs, small and fluffy and wide and yes. It's a tough choice, really.
Yeah.
Though I suppose at the end of the day, I probably choose cubs, because if I chose adults over cubs, I would regret it to the end of my days.
You know, this actually popped back into my head. I can actually top that lion cub encounter.
Did you ride a hippopotamus or something?
No, but I have ridden an elephant. Boom.
That's good.
But you guys don't want to hear about that. Sounds pretty boring. We'll talk about it. We'll talk about it at some point. But I'm just gonna bring this up before I forget again. Basically, in Africa, cheetahs are quite endangered, and there was this one sanctuary that we went to years ago that my parents said, we have to come back here. We won't get another opportunity like this. And it was a rescue center for like 20 or so cheetahs. And these weren't just cubs, they were full-grown adults. And so we went in to the enclosure to pet them, and I sort of handed my camera to one of the women that worked there so she could record the whole experience. And the thing is, the cheetahs were just sort of, if they find one that's dozing or sleeping, that's pretty much the only time you can get in there. And if it rolls onto its back and onto its other side, then you have to sort of get up quickly and go around to the back of it and stroke it. So yes, I stroked one of the fastest land animals on the planet. So, still got time. Do you want to hear about the elephants?
Well, I still haven't.
Oh, sorry.
I still haven't talked about my favorite animal, but then again, it's pretty boring.
Well, you can tell us anyway.
Stereotypical as it may sound, cats, like house cats, cubs of any sort. I feel a certain kinship with them because they lie around and do nothing like me. They have a tendency to avoid people like me. And they're just generally very chill creatures unless you touch their bellies, in which case, death zone.
Wow.
I was going to say, you know when everyone asks, are you a dog person or a cat person? And it's like, when I was growing up, we had a German Shepherd. But
Alright.
because of where we live now, the best we can have is cats. And I love cats. But then when people ask me, it's a hard choice. It's like, I don't know.
I like dogs well enough, but I don't think I'd like to own a dog because, unlike cats, where they just sort of do their own thing, you have to give it specific feeding times, take it out early for walks, and pick up after it, and all that good stuff. Whereas
trust
cats,
me.
they just sort of do their own thing.
Trust me, I'm used to dealing with all that with Oscar. For those of you who don't know, he's a miniature Schnauzer. German name. Yeah, he only grows up to about knee height, and he probably won't get any bigger than that. He doesn't bark at all. I think the way I see it, the owner rubs off on the pet, and because, and this might say a lot about my family, Oscar is, he's really quiet, he likes lying around, he only walks into the kitchen if food is involved, and he practically doesn't bark, even if every single dog in the neighborhood, who all hate us. Well, I guess that's what happens when you lock your dog out in the cold. They're gonna start fearing everyone.
How did he handle the snow?
See, Oscar, Schnauzers often have quite furry legs, longer than what's on their back, and so oftentimes he would get snowballs. And that's not some freakish medical disorder. He'd literally get snowballs tangled into his fur, and he'd have to get into like a shallow bath just to melt them off. He's alright with taking baths, but onto the topic of barking, the only time Oscar ever really barks is or growls if there's like a stranger at the door and he doesn't know who it is. Anytime, the closest thing you'll hear to him barking is he just bounces on the spot and just makes a series of grunts like that's literally all you'll get out of him.
My favorite animal is I wonder if you can guess. but I always really liked snakes, or specifically, I always thought cobras were my favorite animal because I just think it's really cool that even though snakes have no limbs, they
can still move.
Yeah, well, everything they can accomplish when you think about it. Just this little snake has enough venom to kill, like, so many people, and they've evolved like crazily. Like the only country they're not supposed to be in is Antarctica.
Yeah, evolution in the snake is pretty weird. Like, I can just imagine, like, God is talking to the snake, and he's like, Alright, Latin name for whatever this is. Alright, snake, you can either have the ability to hear with ears, or you can have the ability to swallow things the size of your head. And the snake just thinks, Evolution! So yeah.
It's they've also got they can like pick up vibrations really well, and they can use their tongue. Do you know why a snake has a forked tongue?
To taste the air?
Yes, but do you know why it's shaped like a fork?
So it doesn't need to worry about getting cutlery at dinner time.
Yeah, it's basically carrying a Swiss Army knife, so it never needs to worry about carrying a fork. No. Now, when they so fun fact, when they stick their tongues out to taste the air, if they pick up the scent more on the left side of their tongue than the right, then they know they have to go left. So they go in that direction. So if they're hunting a mouse down and they taste it more. I had a pet snake actually, not now, sadly, because passed away a couple of months ago.
Yeah,
And,
I was around for that. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, if you is in one of my videos, I won't say specifically, I don't want to advertise or anything, but, like, sadly, he won't be in anymore. But
He'll
he
be
was a
fondly
corpse,
remembered in your cover art, Dudley.
That is a good point, actually. Yes.
Mhm.
My brother has several snakes in his room.
Oh, jeez. What's that like?
It's alright, really, because they're all in tanks, and they're corn snakes, so they're actually really cute.
Hmm.
Oh.
Alright.
Are they all the same looking, or are they differently coloured ones?
There's one that's white, one that's sort of brown and green, and one that's like bright orange.
Cool.
I wonder if...
He calls the bright orange one Jaffa.
Jaffa, of course. Yeah, in Britain, like, we have, like, 4 different snakes. The only venomous snake we really need to be aware of is, like, the adder. While its bite won't kill you, it will require... It does give you a nasty bite, and you will need to go to the hospital.
Yeah. I've heard it can leave you sick for a couple of days, but unless you have an allergic reaction, in which case you want to watch out, because
I don't know if I have, like, any allergies to, like, venom or animals that I'm not aware of. Like, in my lifetime, I don't think I've ever been stung by, like, insects or bees or spiders, but I'm constantly living in fear that I've got, like, this allergy to some insect's venom, and that's what will be my downfall.
I guess some people are allergic to wasp stings, and, like, I've been stung by wasps before. Once I was stung right beneath the eye.
Oh.
Like, it was pretty nasty. But
did it swell up?
I was too young to remember, to be honest. I think it did because I could feel it. It was really weird. Like, but then I guess this is probably bad logic. I'd like to think if I didn't have an allergic reaction to the wasp sting, I wouldn't have an allergic reaction to a snake bite. But the venom is different, so yeah.
Alright. But yeah, wasps are pretty much cancer. They don't produce honey. They don't do anything for the environment. Anything can take their place.
Bees are like soft and fluffy, and they're like, "Oh, I do love flowers. What a lovely day it is. Oh, buzz, buzz, buzz." And then wasps are like, "I hate you. I hate you. I'm gonna cut you."
There is one argument going for wasps. I don't want to defend them, but there is one argument. Yeah. If you have a garden, they get rid of, like, the caterpillars and the slugs and stuff. Like, they eat them.
They murder.
Yes, they murder them, but still.
They're assassin bees.
Yes. Oh. That makes them sound cooler. You're not making them anyway.
Yeah, but the UK is low on butterflies. Like, if you can save the caterpillars, then good job.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not good. That's actually a good point. You don't see enough butterflies, so forget the wasps. That's a good point.
Yeah. I like to imagine that whatever flowers a butterfly is introduced to, like, its wings will be, like, totally different. Like, say, like, humans have, like, a very distinct fingerprint. I like to think that butterflies have, like, even if it's the same species, I'd like to think that they have different colored wings depending on what it's been doing with its life. So, you can imagine...
Whether or not it pays taxes, or...
Oh god, they just...
Or marries early.
I think that's another fan art thing coming up, like, clinically depressed butterflies, like, they're all, like, grey and... poo brown and just...
So, if a butterfly was introduced to a Venus flytrap, then both of its wings would become Venus flytraps.
I'm not sure how that would work. Oh god, that would be horrifying.
I smell a disaster movie coming up.
Oh god.
Venus butterfly traps.
Oh god. You know, that's actually a good thing to visualize. Might need to do
That'd
that
be
one day.
badass.
Yeah.
That sounds like a fantasy creature.
Oh, we need to bring that to life. So much good content has come
The
out today.
deadly Venus butterflies.
If Pokemon Gen 8 brings out something like that, then we can be like, we've came up with it first. They stole it.
Yeah, trademark. The Venus butterfly trap, trademark the Fresh Air Show.
Yes.
Yes. So,
Specifically me.
Yeah. Trademark
So-
Rowan Shark. Rowan Shark.
what is your elephant story, Dan? Did you forget to pack your trunk?
Har. Basically, there was this place in Africa, in South Africa, called Sun City, and it's sort of like a collection of different places, which act like a sort of theme park, I guess. There's like an artificial beach that produces tidal waves like every 5 minutes, and it'll knock you off your feet no matter what. There was one place where it was a rescue center, and it had like 5 elephants, which they acquired from Zimbabwe when there was wars going on. And so these 5 elephants were rescued, and they were used for elephant-back safaris, where there's like 3 people, so like one of the elephant handlers and 2 tourists, and they literally we literally go out on like these 5 elephants into the wilderness, because when you're on the back of an elephant, other animals don't see you, they just see the elephant. And so we got up really close to like rhinos and zebras, and it was pretty cool. The elephant I was riding on, her name was Mana, and I'm not sure if that stands for anything in Africa, but I'll do a bit of research. The interesting thing that I kind of wanted to see was one of the elephants was gonna have a baby, and so only like my older half brother Michael was pretty much the only one on it, because they didn't want to strain it with extra weight. And after the safari was over, the elephants returned to like the main building where you get to sort of feed them, and when you get back, there's like a video that starts playing like, "Hey, that's us! Someone was recording us the whole time," and we got like a little video souvenir of the trip. And so, how did I not see them on like the first time? But
Cameras in the trunks.
oh god, yeah. Wow, we just crossed over the 48-minute mark. I guess that'll do for us.
Yeah.
Alright. Well, so much good content today. Tune in again next month for episode 4 of the Fresh Air Show. Alright, guys. Time to say goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Watch out for snow, people.
Yep. So, until next time, stay fresh. Goodbye. You have been listening to the Fresh Air Show. Leave a question for us in the comments below, and if you have any other words, just do the same. See you next month for a whole new slew of content.